Guys, welcome to Coffee Club. Croissants and
Thank you.
lattices, because guess what? You're going to France.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Nice World Championships. I love that you're straight in there. You said you like to eat.
Oh, yeah. I'm hungry.
How was yesterday for you?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Yesterday was, leading into it, extremely stressful. Like, I remember just before the race, like, texting my mom, and I was like, Mom, racing is so hard emotionally. Like I want to go hide and throw up right now. Like, which is normal. I mean, I've felt that for years and years, before every race. It didn't matter if it was a world championship qualifier or, running one of my first track meets as a 13-year-old on a track that had 6 lanes, but on the backside, one fell off because it was just concrete and dilapidated. It still mattered that much then. I was like, Mom, I couldn't text her back then. I just looked at her and said, Mom, I kind of want to go hide and throw up right now.
What about you, Lauren?
Oh man, I'm usually in the same boat as that. Like for me, it could be like a local family fun run, and I'm still the same, just like a bundle of nerves. Like, okay, this is fine. We're gonna go. And I don't think it actually hit me until we're on the start line. So at least it kind of staved off for a little bit, and then it just came flooding in as you're standing there, and they're like, okay, you got 3.5 minutes. Like, that's a long time to just be standing here.
But you were so chilled. We chatted in the warm-up area. You were so relaxed.
Yeah, well, that was then. And then you get on the start line.
But all in all, to come away with the World Championship qualification spot, can we rest easy now?
No.
No, never.
No, you can't. No, you can't rest easy. Particularly, I feel like on my end, I've heard people chirping about, oh, these people should be worried about Dylan now. And of course, that just mounts pressure on you. And so you can't relax.
Worried about Dylan now?
Yeah, people weren't worried about me before. They were. I had a few messages to folks after the race that said, told you so. Told you so. You're making a mistake. Which, I don't like to be that way. But if I feel like somebody has, doubted what I believe in myself, I'm gonna let you know. I remember I kept receipts. So yeah, there's no sitting back now. Maybe I relax just a little bit, but then it's gas back to the floor.
I need an inspirational kind of calendar with quotes that you say on it. I get receipts.
Was there an element last night? You mentioned the nerves before the race. Was there an element because it was the last major? And there weren't going to be many spaces up for grabs in the last chance qualifiers. Was there extra nerves because of last night's race?
100%. 100%. I was like, I really don't want to fly across the country in May and try to punch this ticket again, which was, I think, why I raced the way that I raced, tactically, of just go right to the front, force the issue early, and because I thought that my best chance of finishing in the top 3 was if I tried to win. And so, yeah, that pressure was there very heavily, knowing that he ain't got many chances left.
Same for you, Lauren? Or just because you kind of came in slightly later in the season, was that?
Yeah, I still feel like taking it easy from this point on just means really dialing in on the training and going hard there. So in some sense, it's a little less pressure because, yeah, you don't have to fly across the country or, I was also considering if I didn't make it here, going to Germany for the last chance qualifier, but not having to do that.
Well, it was even worse for the women because the amount of spots, even worse for the men, because the amount of spots up for grabs was so few in LCQs. You almost had to do it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on my side, there might have been a little bit more wiggle room, but it's nice to just know that now I can really focus in on the training leading up versus another race to get ramped up for and then a quick turnaround for the World Championship.
Right, let's go into this men's race.
All right.
I'm not sure how much of you saw of it because you're so far ahead. I don't know if you knew what was happening in the rest of the field.
Well, I watched it back this morning. How can you not? Everybody watches the races back. So I got up this morning because I couldn't sleep. Then I was like, all right, watch the whole women's race back, watch the men's race back. So yeah, I saw it. I got to, and honestly, even out in front, I was still perceiving everything that was going on behind me. I mean, I told you guys last night, like during the race, as they were telling me, oh, you got this much of a lead, this much of a lead. I was still like, nope, I need a bigger one. Like, I knew who was coming, who was where, and like what their strengths are. So it was a barn burner from 2 through 6. That was an amazing race right there to punch a ticket for those guys. And, talking with Rich Ryan afterwards, seeing how much it meant to him. Because he was in that same boat. Like, I know he keeps receipts. I know he knows. He's like, people had started to doubt him. And I've always thought from early on, Rich has so many tools. And he's such a skilled athlete that when he puts it together.
Do you consider yourself quite similar in terms of skill set?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's a bit stronger, I would say, and he's a bit better with the, like, if you took technical CrossFit movements and lifts like that, he's got me beat there. And a pure runner, he's faster, but I think you put us side by side and watch us throughout the race, it's fairly similar the way that we handle everything.
Yeah, and you both came in at the start of the season on roll down spots at the bottom, and you've come through the season and completely killed it, surprising people.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Rich he had a great race in Chicago to kind of lock up, hey, I'm going to get more chances. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of sitting there on a hope and a prayer from a race in Malmo. And luckily, it rolled down to me for this. And that's why I said this roll down system sucks. I don't like it. I was vocal about it before. I would like it to be changed. And I think I've proved my point, and I think Paleo proved his point when he was the 30th person and he got in and finished in 4th.
Yeah, we started calling it the Paleo clause.
Paleo clause?
Yeah, where you're like the last person to be invited to the race and then you go and smash it and come on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I think 13th in for this, so I didn't exactly get the Paleo clause treatment, but at the same time, hopefully they do some tinkering in the off season, because I think that there's potential for people who are really, really good to get boxed out because of just the structure of it.
Did you watch any of the men's?
Vaguely while sitting there on the bike, slowly pedaling. So I watched them run by. But I did miss the start. So when did you start pulling away and gapping the rest of the field?
The run after the sled pull was where it started to open up some, which, I mean, I kind of said before, if I'm out first the sled pull, like, oof, we're having a good day, because the sleds are supposed to be what wrecks me, and luckily I handled both really well, and getting out like that, I started building some confidence and things were pulling away there.
Yeah. The small boxes and the warnings that they give you on the sleds were pretty rough.
It was actually really interesting because I was obviously stood watching you all, and the judge walked up to me and went, they are going to be so stringent on the sled pull and the back of your heel touching the line. They literally said if anyone goes over that line, you've got a 5-meter penalty. Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, did you get chirped on it any?
I did. So when we had our briefing, they said that we could step on the front line. Mm-hmm. And I did, and I got warnings for that. So I didn't want to argue.
Yeah.
So I had my 2 warnings, and I'm like, I hate the sled so much. I do not want to add on more distance than I have to and run down and run back. So I was like, we're not going to get anywhere near the lines. Once I got that second one, I was like, okay, we'll take small steps, staying in that box. But yeah, it was a little different feedback on the course.
Costly penalty actually on the sled pull, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go 5 minutes one way, 5 minutes the other. It's like a minute done, and you're racing me over early for a small step over the line. It's pretty crazy.
Which is harsh. It's harsh because, like, what are you getting? That much? You're getting that much, and they're like 5 meters. Oof, that's rough.
It's sport.
It is sport. It is sport. I'm just saying, they was very, and like a mini after the briefing, because they were really hitting on that. They were like, yo, don't let that heel hit the back line. So many people I saw get in the box and practice and count their steps. And we were sitting there, is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 4.5? So I did a 4-step every time is what I tried to count, because I felt like 4 gave me that much room left to not mess up. Because I think Luke, I heard him get warned by it, and I don't think I got anything on that, but I was very mindful because of that briefing beforehand. They were like, do not touch the line. It's like,
Gives you another thing to constantly think about, doesn't it? Just like when you're already under fatigue and you're counting your laps, and now you're thinking steps in the grid. It's just an interesting dynamic to have to deal with.
Yeah.
When race brain kicks in, and you're already like so checked out, and then you have to focus on that. It can be a little exhausting, but yeah, with the new equipment, I feel like it actually went pretty good. Like the sleds,
Yeah.
like butter.
But see, this is what was really interesting because you guys have been saying that, but I don't know. I was sat there watching, especially on the men's, and it didn't look like butter.
Well, theirs are also heavier than mine, so.
I mean, my sled push I've used the equipment the last 2 races. So I got to test it out being down in Fort Lauderdale to race with. And I think there I was 2:17, fastest I've ever pushed. Here, 2:22, second fastest I've ever pushed. And I think some of it has to do with like the newer sleds with regards to just their condition. Yeah. I think over time they may wear down, get a little slower, get a little heavier. But they definitely move faster. They definitely have a different weight distribution that allows you to change your technique. For me, I always had to, and Greg's seen, I always had to get in there to that center pole and be like, hey, how you doing? And for this one, I could actually alternate between going in and be like, yo, just checking in on you, and then getting back up high. And that changes the muscular utilization from, when you're down low like that, your calves are getting blown to pieces. And when you're up high, you can use a little more quad. I like the new sleds, so I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
Lucas Dorath, he was the one pushing you out of the gate. He was the one that was kind of trying to set the pace until you took control of the race. He came in late season. We know he has spent the last 4 months gearing up for HYROX specifically, having had a long time away from the sport. Did we expect him? Probably more a question for Greg. Did we expect him to be up there?
I don't know. You look at Lucas, and he's a beast, and he's built amazingly.
He's built like a beast. Yeah.
to go away from the sport for a couple of years, not completely away, but for quite a while, it can be hard to come back, and especially he's in his early 40s. If you're in your 20s or early 30s, it's probably easier to do than when you're in your 40s. But he's got amazing pedigree. He's like 2019 world champion. He's an amazing athlete, so you can never count him out completely, but it must have been hard to come back after that time away, I would have thought. Right?
Yeah, but also to do it so well, to actually be in the conversation for not just qualifying, but potentially winning it at one point.
Yeah. He was looking really strong last night. You could tell he really wanted it. He went out hot. He was pushing for it from the start. And you wouldn't count him against getting a spot at the last chance qualifiers either as well, because he did look so strong, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he would be the favorite to think of the European last chance qualifier. Paying attention to the sport over time, if you look back early on, Luke was the guy. He was the guy. And he was the guy who was fighting with Hunter at the top of the sport. When you go into that the Elite 12 that they did in like 2020, it was who's going to win that battle. So I think that when you've gotten to a certain point of fitness, of course with age, it does start to fall off a little bit. But when you've been to high heights before, even if you take some time away, if you really ramp it back up, your body remembers. I think the body does remember, and you can get back close to that level. His racing has always been hard from the start, and questioning everybody like, all right, you go out with me, can you hang on? Yeah. Answer was yes. Answer was yes, because that was the same way I wanted to race. I wanted to say, I had put it out there how I was going to race that race, and he went out harder than I was willing to run. But I said, if one guy goes, I'll let him go. He's a good runner. He's got a background as a triathlete as well. He's raced triathlons. You can tell he's well built. He's powerful. I think he's going to grab him a world spot.
Megida. David Megida. You come to Washington, D.C., it's his home turf. He's the defending North American champion. He's now passed that baton over to you. But, he just had, he's just injured. He's just got a bad back, and he just had another tough day at the office. But if we put the racing aside, what has he done for the sport and that yesterday's race?
Well, David's been around in the hybrid space, the obstacle course racing space for a long time. It's funny. I remember when I was even starting getting into sport, seeing his name on things, and I was like, I want to try to race David Megida. and I remember my very first race. He was there there was an elite race, there was a pro race. He had got his way into the elite race. And David and I talk all the time. He's like an older brother to me, honestly. I remember when my son was born, like he shipped us books and he was like, here, read this to your kid. Like he's such a great person. He really is. And the way that he engages the community, you know, I mean, he's got his gyms here in DC. You could hear the crowd for him. He's somebody who, when you know him, like he's hard not to love. Sometimes he's chirpy.
But that's the best thing about everyone, right?
I know.
Like I love that though.
Sometimes he's chirpy and he's like, he's there's something about his personality that's just like, man, I can't not like Magita. Like I love him. He's awesome. To be honest, and he's good for the sport. He really is.
Yeah, we spent some time in his gym earlier this week, and oh my God, he put me through the worst workout. Like I consider myself like not your fit, but like fairly fit. Oh my God, I died.
I bet he was laughing the whole time.
He probably was, especially when on my first round, I got on the treadmill, and we don't like in the sport I do, we don't have treadmills. We run outside or we run on like curve runners. And so he was like, last 30 seconds, you got to sprint. So I just went, burr, 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 burr. And suddenly I was up at like 12 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. He was like, Lauren, what are you doing? You're going to kill yourself.
He said it's a sprint.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, you told me to sprint. I'm sprinting. It's like, you're going to die. Anyhow,
for you.
The really lovely thing is that the chat was all about like affiliation as community and finding coaching, and he's basically said that he gets so much almost more enjoyment out of seeing someone else achieve what he has done and teaching someone about sport that he adores. And I think that says so much about a person and their approach to kind of life and the sport we do. It's not necessarily always about winning whilst it's awesome. It's about getting, you know, a 71-year-old active like his dad, racing his dad. Like how cool is that?
Oh, it was great. It was fun because I was down there with them, and
Were you?
so like
so
they live in Florida. They were like 10 minutes from the place is where his parents live. So I fly in and he's like, hey, you want to come over, hang out at the house? So I drive over there. I've met his dad and stuff before. We're talking and everything before the race, and it was just like, it's awesome when you get to know people, not just the athlete, you know, the family, and like. Yeah, it's a whole community thing, and building that up just makes sport better. It makes it more enjoyable because it gives you different facets of it to actually appreciate. It's not just my victory. It's this person's victory and this person's PR. That makes it a lot more worth it.
Lauren, what's your community like?
On the women's side?
And at home, who you train with, who's your support system?
I work from home pretty much. I have a home gym. I do a lot on my own, but my husband is a phenomenal support for me and so encouraging. I will say after Vienna, I held it together pretty well around people. You could tell I was pretty disappointed and a little bummed and distraught. And then as soon as I got home to the Airbnb, just like started bawling, called John. He's like, do you want to talk? I was like, no. And he's like, okay, I'll just be here if you like want to talk about anything. And so he's my person that like when he's there and can train with me, he'll do that and just encourages me to really do my best in this.
That's lush. It's always important to have those people around you, right?
Yeah.
The big surprise, I guess, to a certain extent, was our rookies. And actually how they really held their own in a pretty intense environment. I mean, your rookie race wasn't that long ago. Like,
no.
what would they have been feeling going into that race with all of these kind of like well-known Elite 15 athletes around them in the start gate?
It's a different feeling for sure. Stepping up on the line because it's so much smaller. You don't have people going on the course as it is, and a lot more eyes on you. So there is a little bit more of that pressure, but it's also just like so electrifying and like gets you so amped up to be there with those people and like stand on the line toe to toe with them. It's a good feeling.
I mean, Colin Stifer was probably the one that really stood out. Someone that you are close to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting emotional thinking about it because Colin, like he had a rough week. His longtime partner, her sister, had passed away from glioblastoma, and like we were talking, and he was just like he had on his arm like her name.
I saw that, yeah.
And I passed him like towards the end. And I was like, "You're racing for her. You're racing for her," and it killed me to see him not get a spot. Like it did, it hurt. And I was like, shit, I really wanted him to, because we had been talking leading up to it. And it was like, me and you, we're going. I think he goes to Anaheim and gets it, but he pours himself into it, and it's hard to see somebody who pours themselves into something fail or come up short, especially when they're like just in a really heavy emotional state. So I'm so proud of him, because he came out there and raced like a champion. Like he was putting the pressure down. He gave it everything he had that day. And I hope that he's proud of himself, to be honest. I really do. I hope he pieces it back together, because I want to line up with him at Worlds, because he deserves to be there, for sure.
Yeah.
Deep breath.
I don't even know where to go from there.
Yeah, it's hard. Sorry about that.
Oh God, you shouldn't apologize. I think it's so much emotion.
Yeah.
And so much real life in sport. I think that's such a big part of what makes it so wonderful. And I know it's kind of true of all sports, but particularly this one, where people have real lives and jobs, and we're not all pro athletes.
No.
You know, there's a whole lot of real life that you guys are all dealing with that people who watch would have no idea.
No, and that's, like you said, that's how it is with every sport. Like, people aren't robots.
Yeah.
They're not. And so you have to couch that in. You don't know what folks are going through. Like, you don't know what an athlete's lining up with on their mind. And yeah, it's just, it's a close-knit community. It's raw. We share a lot with each other. And so you know, as an athlete, what the other guy beside you dealing with most of the time. If you're close with them, you're like, I know what they're racing with today.
We sort of spoke last night, didn't we, about it's not just like how your training's gone, how your preparation's gone. There's so many factors that affect how you perform in a sport like this, especially. And so, like, if your sleep's been off for emotional reasons or whatever reason, and if you're not completely well, and you know, if a family member has died or something like that, it is going to impact how you do. It's just, it's a fact in the sport, really.
For sure. You try to compartmentalize it, handle it as best you can, but you can't fully do it.
No, when you're on the edge, on the limit for 60 minutes or whatever it is, like it's going to impact you in some way, and that might only show up as a minute in your time, but that's a world of difference with how close the field is now.
It's the difference between world championship spot, not a world championship spot.
Yeah.
From sad tears to happy tears. Lauren Weeks was welling up when I was interviewing her on the finish line because of you.
I love Lauren. Not just the name or anything, but Lauren is such a phenomenal person, and I'm thrilled that I've gotten to know her better through this sport, and just be able to. There's been times where I've done some like runs with her and just chatted with her, texted her about like random things, and she's just such a great person on and off the race course that, yeah, she's one of the people that it's like truly inspiring for not just me, but I know so many people.
So you obviously set a doubles world record with her.
Yes.
3 weeks ago, but you are being coached by her, and that came about in a slightly roundabout way.
Yeah, it was an interesting situation. So what had happened was visiting some friends that I have in Utah. I'd go work out with this group, and you know, they're same kind of like those type A fun people where they're like, you know what sounds great? Let's just wreck ourselves early in the morning at like 4 a.m. And for some reason I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go. And while I'm there, they're like, so what do you train for? I'm like, I really want to get into like this new kind of sport with hybrid racing, doing HYROX. And they're like, yeah, we have this guy that comes in every once in a while. I think his wife actually does HYROX. She probably does pretty good. I was like, oh, really? And they're like, yeah. Her name's like Lauren Weeks or something. I was like, oh, she does good. Does she? And they're like, oh yeah, she has a race right now. And it was right when they were doing the World Championships in Manchester that they're telling me all this. And I'm like, yeah, I'll give you her number, but she might be a little delayed getting back to you because she has a pretty big competition. I'm totally oblivious. I'm like, yeah, I'll just reach out to her. And So that's how I kind of got connected with Anthony and Lauren, was just some friends being like, you know what, I know some good people. They dabble in the sport too. We could introduce you.
Did it drive you to pursue HYROX like harder or more?
Yeah, in a way it did. Just seeing how she trained and the kind of things that I wanted to do with my athletic career, that was a really big driving factor for me, and wanting to work with them too. I tried to pick, Anthony's brain on different training things. I was training myself at the time. And then that's when they kind of opened up their training program, and I snuck right in, and I was like, if you got the space, I could really use a coach.
Hey, Lauren's together.
Yeah.
What is it with the regularity of the name Lauren in the sport?
Let's get all the Laurens in here. Why not?
There needs to be a photo with it on our backs, all the Laurens. How was your race? Apart from the fact, wonderful because you qualified for the World Championships.
You know what? It was awful. At no point was I like, man, I'm feeling really good today. But I wanted it so badly that it almost didn't matter. It was like, we're gonna go for it, full send, and see what happens.
Especially off the back of Vienna. Were you nervous? Because if you weren't totally sure what happened when you passed out, was there not a little bit what if that happens again?
Yeah, and it almost doesn't matter how well you do in some races. If you have that one bad, it kind of puts in that little seed of doubt almost, which seems silly because leading up to this, I was doing really well. And I just had that one weird incident. But then you kind of sit there and you're like, what if that does happen again? What if the what ifs kind of start popping up? So it kind of broke a little bit of my spirit of oh gosh, how much confidence do I have in myself? So it was nice to be able to go get that spot and kind of.
Did it patch it?
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Because it was, we spoke about it a little bit, the community around you when you were finishing and the unbroken wall balls. And that was
Yes.
the reason that you knew you had it within you. So ultimately, it's life has a plan for you type thing. You went through something awful, but look what it gave you in terms of tools to tackle this race.
Yeah. If I can go unbroken and finish a race after passing out, I can do that. I can finish any race.
Were you conscious through the race of your position and letting Lauren and Megan go, and you battling Amy for that position at the World Champs? Were you conscious throughout where you were?
Yeah, so I knew, and I had Anthony yelling at me too. That always helps, Someone's like, you're 14 seconds. You're like, okay, I can do that. So I was aware, and at this point, it wasn't necessarily going for a time. It was just getting that placement and securing the spot. So I was aware, and just kind of going for that, just getting a spot, 1 through 5, whatever it was. That was just the main goal.
Yeah. And it must be nice knowing you've got unbroken wall balls in your back pocket.
They didn't show up last night, but
Look at Dylan's face. He's like, yeah.
I'm saying it would be nice. It would be nice if I could run into wall balls and for a minute they're like, oh, he looks like Graham Halliday. I'd be like, this is amazing. Because normally I don't. I look like Gumby.
We so glossed over Graham Halliday. What?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know. We could ask Graham. Nobody'd be able to understand him, but we could ask him. Graham, how'd your race go? I love Graham. That
was the worst Scottish accent I've ever heard.
Listen, I wasn't even going for a Scottish accent. I was going for just, you don't know what's happening.
we got it. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm glad. But I mean, my man's wrapped in a Scottish flag, which honestly, I love that. I love that about so when I was down in Miami the week before, Pelayo's down there running, and he's got a friend there. And I'm like, well, I know who the friend is because he just wrapped in a Spanish flag. And I'm like, the people who wrap themselves in flags, it's a European thing.
I don't feel like you.
reckon?
I
Definitely see US people with
I haven't seen
stars and stripes.
not in. What did you do it?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
no one
but
brought
I've
one.
seen
We just got to
people.
remember to bring a flag for her next time.
Yeah.
Well, we need. I haven't seen it in HYROX yet. I haven't seen American wrapped in a flag yet.
We could make it happen.
We could make it happen. I'm not trying to make it happen. I kind of like it being a European thing. Keep it that way. I like y'all's flags. They're cool looking. But yeah, I mean, Graham comes in. I'm sitting down there and I'm thinking that the battle's between like Rich and Colin, and then
Hey, weren't we all?
yeah, and then all of a sudden I see, and I look up and I'm like, all right, well there's two. We got one more, and so I'm super happy for him. Every interaction I've had with him, smile on his face, great guy. For a little while afterwards, he was like playing with my son on the rower, and like he's over there like messing with the row seat, and Graham's sitting there with him, and I'm just like, I'm very glad that he got in.
Yeah. Sorry, but back to you.
Yeah, didn't mean to jump off of that.
But it was worth it for your Scottish accent.
It was, yeah, I'd say.
That like wonderful battle you had throughout with Amy Belvacqua. Did you expect to be in such a tussle? Like, not even just with her, but with anyone. It became quite a to and fro for a very big part of your race.
With how competitive the women are, I expected that there was going to be some back and forth. I mean, on any given day, you don't necessarily know who that's going to be with, because it kind of fluctuates. Like, not everyone's going to have the best race of their lives. So I knew there was going to be back and forth, and I feel like it does help, though, when you're in a race, having that, just to have someone kind of push you. We can't all gap everyone after the sled pull and run away with a race. So.
I didn't want anybody to be near me. I was running so hard. I was like, please, I don't want to be I want to get away. Like, I don't want to be near anybody.
The faster you go, the faster you're done.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Let's find that finish line. One question. So I was just thinking this, because being coached by Lauren's husband, Anthony, I think he's one of the best minds in the game. He is so analytical.
Oh, yeah.
So dialed in. And if I've thought to myself, if there's anybody I would go to for coaching, it would be him.
Yeah.
When you did have that hiccup over in Vienna, did y'all have any conversations regarding that? Yeah, and I would like to know, because I have a feeling of like how I would approach it as a coach, how I would talk to an athlete who went through that. What did he kind of tell you to maybe help you get back to the line?
It was a lot around just kind of, because, he's so analytical, doing the breakdown and just really pointing out, like, you were right where you wanted to be. Something just happened.
Yeah.
And it happened, and here's what we can do. Like, here's how you can execute to do well in the next one. And give me something to look forward to know that, like, yeah, I'm still going to be successful despite having whatever happen. So it was really nice to just have that kind of a breakdown of like looking at those details. And he also loves watching the replays. So he's like, after watching it 3 times, he's like, so I picked up on this when I rewatched it this time again. So it's nice to have someone kind of going back and like giving you the insights that you might gloss over.
You mean you didn't rewatch it 3 times?
I did, but not at that point. He was a little quick on the back-to-back watches.
Well, I believe it. I believe Anthony. Well, he'll stay up late, get up early. He's like, I'm watching that race, and then I'm watching that race again, and I'm watching the splits, and like,
oh yeah,
he is. I mean, that man right there. If you want to talk about somebody who will dial it in as a coach,
He's that man.
he's that man.
You want to see those sheets that he's got? All that data?
He does.
He is the guy for that.
And he's an athlete.
Yeah.
Guys, poor Greg.
Gonna say, we're
Poor
gonna have to
Greg.
connect.
What about Greg's sheets and Greg's stats?
But Greg, you're high level. You're high level. You're all the stats when it comes to like these are the averages we had at different courses, and this is how it compares across. He's more like, hey, I'm gonna dial in on you, just on you as a coach. We love you, Greg, and your sheets. We love you and your sheets, Greg. Don't worry.
Don't diss my spreadsheets.
Yeah, just well, your voice too. I'll be honest with you, you got a great voice. You called me this morning, and I put it on speakerphone, and Marcus Friesen sitting there with me, and like we got on the phone, he said, you can't mistake who that was on the phone right there. He's like, one man's got that voice, that's Greg. I was like, you're correct.
So I got to hear your imitation of his accent now.
Listen, I couldn't even do it. I couldn't even do it.
What's your British? Can you give us your British?
Oh, Lord. I tried to do a British accent on the phone one time to somebody, and they're like, don't ever do that again.
Right now, you're going to do it on camera.
Right now, you're going to do it on camera.
Almost. It got there at the end.
It got there at the end. Yeah, it took a minute. Like my races mostly, I finished strong. Same with my accents.
Oh, what is this conversation?
You said you were going to keep it on the rails. I looked at Greg immediately, and he was like, but we brought him in here.
Now's a great time for the pig story while we're in it.
We're not bringing up the pig story. Are we really?
We're here already.
Yeah,
Are we here already?
We're in.
All right, we're in. We're in on the pig story. So, Greg's wanted to tell this story for a while because I've told it before in the past, and he's wanted to tell it on a live stream, but he didn't quite have the details. A couple of years ago, I was driving home one night, and I was driving home. My girlfriend spots a pig on the side of the road. She's like, "What's that? That's a pig?" I was like, "That is a pig, and I'm gonna catch it." So I get out with a bag of almonds in my hand. I'm like, trying to catch the pig. The pig comes over and he eats an almond. I'm like, "He's gonna let me touch him." I'll touch him. He's like, "All right, give me one more almond." I gave him one more, and I grabbed him, and I put him in the car. Okay, and he's like this big, a little black pig. And I live in a small town with 2,000 people, 2 stoplights, and it's like if you put out something online like, "Hey, anybody lose a pig?" They're gonna find it on Facebook and be like, "Hey, you got my pig," and I'll be like, "I'll bring it back to you. Don't worry." Nobody answered, so I was like, "I guess he's my pig now." I took him home. We tried to give him a bath. He did not like that. He slept in the bed with me that night, and we get up the next day. I'm like, "Let's go on a pig adventure." So I had a leash from a dog, and I got him a little harness at PetSmart, and I walked him around PetSmart, and I was like, "Let's get some piggy snacks, and now let's go to Starbucks." So we get in the car, we go to Starbucks, and I come to the drive-thru because I'm like, probably shouldn't take a pig into Starbucks. They're gonna be a little upset about that. It's like, "Can I get a pup cup?" And they're thinking, "Oh, we get to see a dog." I'm like, "You get to see better than a dog." And we come around to the window, and this little oinker comes to that, and I said, "Hello," and they hand it to me, and he's just hammering that whipped cream. I kept him for like 3 days. Was like, "My landlord's not gonna let this fly." I was like, "Mom, do you have can we keep a pig?" She's like, "Not at my house." I said, "Okay." I got a bad rash from sleeping with a pig. That was a horrible idea. So I took him back where I found him, and I was like, "Listen, man, it was a great 72 hours. I'm gonna let you back go. Hopefully you find a home, because it ain't with me." So that's the pig story.
It's even better. Every time I hear it, it's even better. Okay, pig stories aside, back to racing, which is a nice little another U-turn.
Yeah, it's fine. We took an extra lap.
We did take an extra lap. Don't do that on course. Linda Meyer's been amazing. Like, literally amazing. I feel like we're finally seeing a Linda Meyer who goes, "You know what, I'm competitive, I can take on the top girls, and I can overtake them, and I can do well." Like, I mean, pretty much everything that you said on the live stream.
Yeah. Third in the previous majors. Would have given. I don't think she'd have started the season even expecting that, really.
No, she didn't.
And even though she's an ex-world record holder, but last season didn't go the way she wanted with her injuries. And then like Till was saying on the live stream last night, it wants to see some fight from her and some belief that she can break into that top 2 and battle Lauren and Megan. So last night would have been hugely encouraging for her, I think, to be able to finish like that and perform strongly throughout the race. And even the burpees, she got some penalties on the burpees that obviously would have affected her race to a certain extent. But to overcome that and then still finish second would have been hugely encouraging, I would have thought. Right?
Yeah, she had the lead for part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She had a really great race last night.
And if you go back and you haven't seen it yet, I know you'll go back and watch her sleds. She was a hammer.
Yeah.
She just, and I mean, she's not one, you don't think, she doesn't look conventionally strong. She looks more like a runner, but she came in there and just worked them. And that's, she's solid. And as she continues to piece things together, she's somebody who's been in the sport for a good minute. She's been around for a little while, and you've just seen consistent progression from her. And it's honestly impressive. Every time she shows up in races, she's right there in the mix.
So, gang, how are you approaching the build-up to World Champs?
For me, I'm gonna do some nice recovery after this, and then just settle into building up and doing a big training block. That's kind of where I'm gonna go with it.
I got to race Go Rug. I got about 2 hours, so I'm going to go throw a vest on and see what happens.
Recovery's not.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll probably recover a little bit tomorrow. I'll probably need it.
I mean, quite honestly, I'm surprised you're not on a bike right now. Just getting in like a, you know,
Yeah, y'all,
a 100-mile cycle.
you wouldn't let me bring it. Y'all know I asked. I said, please. Y'all said, sit down, Dylan. Fine. I did bike this morning a little bit. I did. I got on for an hour. That's what I did while I watched the women's race. I was like, I got to spin these legs out. But for me, it'll be the same kind of training that I've done. I'm going to continue on a lot of erging. Like I said before, I feel like that really built things up for me. So I just get on my little boat to nowhere and have a great time. Sometimes with my son strapped to my back, we do that from time to time.
It's the go work practice.
It really is. He's about 20, 25 pounds. It's been perfect. You know, and I think if I bring the same level of fitness to Nice and can perform over there to the level I think I can, I'll be in the mix.
I don't doubt both of you will be in the mix.
I like to think so.
I think you're going to continue to progress. You're still very new,
Yeah.
and you're still getting faster.
figuring it out.
You are.
If you could take away one of the elements of HYROX and replace it with something that's in your wheelhouse, what would it be and why?
You're taking this one first. Oh, because I got to think more.
I do too. If I could take one away, oh man. I mean, I hate wall balls. I'll be honest. They're the worst. And I don't know if it's just because it's at the end and like you're so close to being done and it's just, you got to grind those out. I just don't like them.
But what would you replace it with?
Oh, I haven't gotten that far. Well, let me think on that one.
Yeah.
What I would replace it with.
I think okay. I'm taking out wall balls as well. And you know what? I'll replace it. Give me a 50-pound dumbbell single arm snatch.
Oh yeah, lush.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's do
That's
100
good.
single arm snatches to finish. I would rather do that than 100 wall balls, I think. Yeah. So that's going to be my change. I'm tall and lanky. It's not a great movement for me, but neither are wall balls, and I'd rather not squat. I've already done
You
it.
got to do like a little.
Okay, a quarter squat, and then I'm like, slip. Like, I'd rather do that.
That's fair. That's fair. That's such a hard thing. Because I feel like it's pretty well set up of how it
that's
is.
true.
Like, obviously, I hate it. Wouldn't mind if they got rid of it, but I also don't know if there would be anything like better to replace it with.
Better the devil you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like. Trying to think of something with like that you could do with a medicine ball too, or like a wall ball type thing, but. Snatch is a good idea.
So I was thinking
Something
snatches,
dumbly.
overhead kettlebell swings,
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
That'd be more of a grip ripper. If you had to do 100 of those.
You wouldn't want to go out with farmer's carry into.
No, but that'd be fun. That'd be a fun test.
See, but that could make it like that could be why it would be
Yeah.
even more brutal at the end.
Yeah.
Your grip's already thrashed.
So when your
and
grip's
carried.
gone,
Yeah, it's gone.
good luck. You can look
yeah.
at those hands and be like, can you hold? Like, I can't hold nothing. You could.
Could you imagine doing a swing with your grip gone? You'd just be like, goodbye.
Oh, I've done it. I've launched one across the garage before, and I was like, yeah, it's got a dent. I got a dent in my kettlebell from it. I sent that bad boy.
There we have it. No more warbles.
No more.
I like warbles. You keep that to yourselves.
I've always thought a Concept 2 bike would be nice.
I
and,
thought
like,
about that too.
Like, see, you could pace it so some people just like ruin their legs. And,
Oh my God, whack the
it'd be
dampener
like
up, just
fine
go.
line. Yeah, it'd be nice. to see.
Cake
they
house
made
on
you-
the
oh.
assault bike or something.
I hate this soul bike.
I do too.
What if they made
That
like a
breaks your
damper
soul.
10 standing for
Oh
1,000?
no.
Damper 10 standing for 1,000 on a Concept 2 bike?
It's so hard.
I know.
I did it in the workout the other day. I was like, I can't stand up that long. Like my quads are on fire and they shouldn't be.
But they should.
My personal favorite on the bike erg is when you notch it down to 1 and just
Yep.
slowly pedal along. I could do that.
For mine, it's like let's go harder like an 8 and then whack it down and maintain the 8 cadence, but suddenly you get the nice lightness through your legs.
Have y'all done acid bath?
Yes.
The feeling when you get done off that bike, the pump in your quads. You start trying to walk, and you're like, uh-oh. Like, that's not how legs work. Have you done it? You need to give it a try.
I've done a version of it. And let's just say it's one of those
Ashton.
moments that I'm glad I work out alone.
Uh-huh.
When I'm like a puddle on the floor and just like curled up and you're like, we're not moving anymore.
I know that. I do workouts at like the work gym that we
Yeah.
have because my office is like right in there. So
Yeah.
I'll do hard rowing workouts in there. And you'll hear like there's a nurse's office right beside it. And the nurses know me well. They're like Megan and Laurel, they know Dylan. And there are times I finish up and you just hear, and I'm just laying on the floor curled up like this. And they'll walk out like, are you okay? I go, I'm good. And they're like, all right, just checking on you. I'm like, yeah, y'all know what to expect now.
Oh, corporate office gyms. They're like, at least for the like one that I go to when I go into an office, it's so quiet. So if you're doing a hard workout and you're breathing heavy, like everyone hears you. And they're just like, there's this girl just over there in the corner dying. And I'm just like, try again.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing on the rower.
Yep.
And they're just like, okay, we'll avoid that section of the gym today.
Nah, at this point they know me. They're like, it's the exercise guy. Like, it's the exercise guy. That's my job there. Like, so they're used to it.
Like, oh, you must work out a lot. And you're like, I dabble, I guess.
Yeah.
I do fitnessy things,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Hey, fellow kids, I do fitness myself.
I do what I can.
Yeah, it's so funny when the outside world, like, because we were so niche in our little bubble, like the outside world was like, oh, you like to run. Oh, you like to do a bit of sport. Yeah, no, actually, I'm really fun. Good.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like for me, because I work out by myself almost all the time. But when I go back up to New Hampshire and stuff, there's an older guy there. His name's Bruce, who I work out with. He's in his mid-50s. Like, we work out together all the time. We plan workouts together that we can all do that are scalable. So like I might be training at really hard, but I'm training with him and he's training at his. And I mean, Bruce is crushing himself. And I've trained with him for a while. I can look over like, Bruce, what's your heart rate? 172. He goes, 173. I'm like, that's right. Like, I mean, he's pushing. And it's fun to work out in that environment though, because you train with people of all levels. Yeah. Like people in their 70s that can do a quarter squat and that's all they're working with. And then high-level athletes at the top of their game.
I've got a couple in my affiliate, John and Jane. They're doctors. They come in every morning at 6:30, and they're very into HYROX. And they are running their first race in Glasgow today in the doubles.
Well, they're done by now.
Yeah.
They're done by now.
Yeah. They got a 135 something.
See?
So I'm so proud of them. It's their first one. They were so nervous, but they're both in their 60s.
That's awesome.
You know, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Love this sport. Anyway. Got to rate your coffee out of 10. Or your tea, or your herbals.
We'll see.
Bang.
Compared to I think I set a 7 for my last one.
Yeah, I did.
Probably let it steep a little too long.
Yeah, it's not so nice when you drink it when it's cold.
Nope, it's I'd give it a 6.
I think we're agreeing. I think I'm going 6 as well. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but
I'm also I'm gonna go for a 6. I'm going for a 6.
Oh.
It's not quite as nice as Vienna.
I think this beats Vienna. This is an 8 for me.
all right.
Yeah.
What did you have? Black coffee?
Black coffee, yeah.
It's good. And
Not
my
the
problem is I
best
didn't think about it when it was warm. Cheers to Coffee Club.
Cheers.
Well,
So who starts? But it just goes in, doesn't it?
Yeah. We just throw it in. We don't even need to do rock, paper, scissors. I'm confident.
I do not have a wrist action.
Oh no.
play it forward. There we go. Up. Get it around.
Come on, striker.
I lied. Maybe I'm not a defender anymore.
That's all right.
Oh, wait, slow roll.
Oh.
Play forward. There we go. Oh! That's one, boy.
Probably shouldn't swear.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, I'm gonna have a hard time not swearing.
Yeah. Came out over
Did it come
there.
out by you over there?
Does it?
I don't know. I was wondering. Oh, there's one there.
Yeah.
On the floor.
Oh, it just fell out. Oh.
Oh.
You were down there, Greg.
No. Come back.
Ah!
Oh, nice.
Good D.
Whoa.
Bang. Let's go! Let's go!
Yeah.
Come on, we gotta put one more on him.
This is like the athletic prowess of.
If I thought racing was intense.
All right, come on.
Oh, my defense is bad.
This is how I feel yesterday. I'm like, I can't blow this lead. Boom, shot.
Oh, yes!
Let's go!
Does that even count? I don't even know, but we're taking
What?
it.
On call.
There's gonna have to be so much believing.
Never mind.
I
You shot yourself
can't
in
keep
the
it
foot.
together.
Thank you.
Oh, well, hopefully see you guys at some more races soon.
Yes.
Well, we'll see you in France.